My name is Yvonne Lynch. I lead the Urban Forest and Ecology team at the City of Melbourne. Most of our work around climate adaptation in the City of Melbourne is really driven by a desire to maintain a livable city. It's of critical importance for us, not just for our community, but also for the continued prosperity of our economy. At City of Melbourne, we're taking a nature-based approach to climate adaptation in the city. Over the past number of years, we've experienced the impacts of climate change. So, for example, we've had many heat waves that have impacted the city, and we've also experienced the millennium drought. And those events have been driving and shaping our work. So with our nature-based approach, what we've decided to do is look at how we can use environmental services or ecosystem service provision to respond to the challenges that we'll face from future climate. So we've put a number of strategies in place. We have our urban forest strategy, and through that what we're aiming to do is double the tree canopy cover in the city from 20% to 40% over the next number of years. So we hope that if we double the canopy cover, we could actually reduce summertime temperatures in the city by 4 degrees Celsius by 2040. Of course, we need to do a number of other things to support the tree canopy cover. So stormwater harvesting in particular is very important for the city. During the drought, what we experienced was a lack of rainfall, which drove us towards water restrictions, which meant in turn that we stopped irrigating the landscapes in the way we would normally irrigate them. And that in turn brought around a decline in our urban landscapes, particularly in tree health. But when you think about climate change and what its impacts for the city mean into the future, what we know is we're getting hotter, and heat is actually, Australia's most underrated natural disaster. And so what we're going to see as our cities grow and as they densify, heat is going to become more and more of an issue. So how we cool our cities naturally is a really important thing. We're looking at increasing our green space in the city by 7% and working to build a stormwater harvesting network that allows us to supply our urban landscape with 25% of the water that we need to irrigate it. We have a target in place to increase that to 30% of the water required by 2018, and a further target to increase that again to 50% of the water we need by 2030. And we think if we can have this supply of non-potable water for our landscape, that can ensure the legacy of our landscape. It's all about thinking about the right water for the right purpose. So we need to move away from using drinking quality water to irrigate our landscapes. We don't need that quality of water for our landscapes. We've worked with a number of our neighbouring councils and University of Melbourne to develop what we call the Growing Green guidelines. What we're doing is advocating for change in the private realm. Council manages the public realm, but there's a lot of opportunities in the private realm, particularly for things like green roofs and green walls, and they can also contribute to the cooling of the city. We've started thinking also about flood and future flood and the role that we'll have to play in terms of how we manage flood. We do know that when we experience rainfall, we'll experience less rainfall, but when we do get it, it will tend to occur at the same time, so we can more likely experience events like flash flooding. And so at City of Melbourne, we've broadened our thinking around our stormwater harvesting to include flood mitigation. So for example, one of the projects that we're doing currently is at University Square, which is at the top of the Elizabeth Street catchment. Elizabeth Street is one of the primary flooding zones in the city centre. And so by putting a stormwater harvesting tank in at the top of that catchment, we're also hoping that that could reduce some of the flood impacts that we experience a little bit upstream before the water hits the Elizabeth Street itself.